The work of international criminal justice is one that I do not take lightly, and it's one that you and your media houses that you represent should be applauded for. 17 years is a long time. That is how long the court has been involved in investigating the crimes in Darfur. The perseverance of victims and survivors for justice is strong, and they are to be applauded. That the passage of time, the difficulties that many are living in, the losses that many of them have incurred, has not led to fatigue, however tired their bodies are. It has energized them to march forward based upon the individual worth of every child, every man, and every woman. I think this is a very critical moment for Sudan. The period of transition is one that has given rise to many hopes of a better tomorrow, of a tomorrow where rights for all is not seen as an exception, but as something quite normal. I have just come from speaking from civil society, and I also emphasized that the role of the court, the role of my office, is not some kind of favor. It is a responsibility that was founded upon the Security Council's decision to refer the Darfur situation to the International Criminal Court. But a lot of work needs to be done, and we need to join hands together, in which nobody is viewed as a spectator, nobody is viewed as a bystander. It requires you, as members of the media houses with tremendous reach, with tremendous influence, to report accurately and fairly and be part of a positive change that, inshallah, Sudan has the prospect of going through. I will pause there because, of course, we have an interpreter, so thank you for that. Or maybe I carry on.
بل كل هذا كان وعود لنا للمزيد من العمل والجهود. اعتقد ان صلاح علينا مرور بنقاط حاسمه في تاريخ الفتره الانتقاليه هي هناك كثير، ولكنها الجهود المطلوب بذلها ولكنها عددت من الامال لغد افضل يسود غريبا. والان بدأت من حديثي مع مجموعات المجتمع المدني وقلت لهم ان المحكمه الجنايات الدوليه ومكتبي يقومون بدورهم ليس فقط منهم قومية، بل هو الإجابة والالتزام نابع من حالة مجلس الأمن الدولي للأوقاف الأطفال في الناحية الدولية. وهذا الأمر هو في المقام الأول التزام منا، التزام لنا كأننا غير مجرد مصريين أو شاهدين، بل أن نعمل جميعا لإغاثة تلك الجرائم التي حدثت، وأن نعمل بكل جدية وجهد حتى لا يتكرر ما حدث سابقا.
Okay? Done? Yeah. So this important responsibility embraces not only the responsibilities and expertise of my office, nor does it only limit itself to the rights of Darfuris. Whether one is in Khartoum or in Darfur or outside of Sudan, this is a responsibility of each and every one of us. it's a legal requirement for us to fulfill our responsibilities. But in my last meeting, I also recalled, because we have many Muslims in the room, that this is not just a legal requirement, it's a moral requirement. The Holy Quran says that to kill one person is as if to kill all of humanity. And it further states that one is required as a matter of faith to speak truth, even and to give evidence, even if it is against your own flesh and blood. So if we are to be true citizens of the world, and if we are to be even average Muslims and faithful to the Quran, we need to practice what some preach, which requires this constant engagement of speaking the truth. The case against Ali Kushaib in the court of Abdurrahman is going well. All charges have been confirmed, and it is awaiting a trial date. Judges have been appointed. In relation to the outstanding warrants, I also had various meetings with the Minister of Justice, with the Foreign Minister, with the Acting Attorney General, the Prime Minister, the Chair, Deputy Chair, and other members of the Sovereignty Council, and emphasized that cooperation will help us build strong cases without which we cannot succeed, because we have to prove cases beyond reasonable doubt. The other aspect, of course, is cooperation. I've made a decision, and I'm glad to see it has been welcomed by many members of the transitional government, that I wish to deploy a team here in Khartoum, to be based here in Khartoum full-time. Because unless one is part of the people, unless one understands the undercurrents and complexities and the richness of the history and dynamics of Sudan, we cannot discharge our responsibilities to prove cases beyond reasonable doubt.
علينا مسؤوليات هامة، وهذه المسؤوليات هي تتطلب خبرات وخبرات وقدرات بشرية، وتسعى لتوفير ليس هو فريق فقط بل هو الجميع حتى لا تتكرر ما حدث. هي المسؤولية مسؤوليتنا، وهي هنالك أمر قانوني يجب علينا القيام بها. في اجتماع الاخير تحدثت مع افراد المجتمع المدني وقلت لهم اننا كمسلمين مكلفين ان نوصل لموارد في آيات القرآن الكريم ان من قتل النفس بغير حقه كانما قتل الناس اجمعين، وهذه المسؤوليه مسؤوليه ارتكاب جريمه القتل، فانها لا تقف على مجرد نفس واحده، بل هي تقع على كل الانسانيه، ولهذا اننا جميعا مسلمين بأن نسعى ما أمكن أن نوقف عمليات القتل، وكذلك أن نعمل بكل مسؤولية والتزام. فيما يخص قضية علي كوشيف فإنها تسير كما ينبغي. كل الأشياء تم تأكيد الاتهامات، وحاليا تم تعيين الوزارة في إصدار تحديد تاريخ بدء القضية. التقيت بمختلف المسؤولين، وزير العدل والخارجية والنائب العام المكلف وأعضاء مجلس السيادة ونائب رئيس السيادة ورئيس السيادة، وأشرت لهم أننا نحتاج إلى كل التعاون المطلوب لما يضمن نجاح هذه الجهود، وغياب التعاون بيننا لن نستطيع أن نمضي إلى الأمام. فيما يخص الجوانب الأخرى من التعاون فاتخذت قرارا رحبت به الحكومة الدولية على كافة المستويات، وهو إنشاء مكتب دائم لنا في الخرطوم نقوم بالتواصل على كافة المستويات. إننا نحتاج أن نكون موجودين على الأرض ونكون أقرب من الجهات الأمنية، وأن نتواصل وأن نتفهم الخلفية والتاريخ والثقافة. كل هذه الأشياء لن يتسنى لنا أن نحققها ما لم نكن موجودين هنا في الخرطوم.
If you don't mind, I will stand because I'm seeing only microphones and I want to see all of you. So I hope that's in order. You know, I have to applaud the cooperation of the government of Sudan, not only to facilitate my mission here, but also the practical information that they have provided in the case of Abdurrahman Ali Kushayb. Please.
الحقيقة المهتم من التعاون الذي يريده حكومة السودان ليس فقط فيما يخص تسهيل زيارتي إلى السودان والمهمة التي أقوم بها، بل الفن دورها كذلك في توفير كل المعلومات المطلوبة في قضية علي كوشيب.
We want more of this, and the dialogues I found to be straightforward, direct, and promising. I'm pleased to announce that the reason I was late was I was signing a memorandum of understanding with the government of Sudan that was signed by me as the prosecutor and by the Minister of Justice. I think Sudan, if I may be permitted to say so, has an excellent Minister of Justice who worked hard himself with his team to help us conclude that agreement. And this agreement provides a basis for cooperation and exchange of information in relation to all cases where there are warrants.
وهذه الاتفاقية سوف توفر الأساس المتين للتعاون وتبادل المعلومات في كل القضايا الصادرة في حقها أمام قوانين الضبط.
Previously, the MOU was much more limited in various respects. Most particularly, it was limited to Mr. Abdurrahman Ali Kushayb.
في اتفاقية مذكرة التفاهم السابقة كانت محدودة وعلى وجه التحديد كانت تقتصر فقط على قضية علي كوشيب.
I have indicated, besides my decision and desire, inshallah, to have a team based here full-time, to come back in November to also visit Darfur, God willing.
ذكرت أنه إضافة إلى قراري ورغبتي في إنشاء مكتب دائم لنا في الخرطوم، فإن لدي الرغبة الأكيدة في العودة إلى السودان مرة أخرى وزيارة دارفور إن شاء الله.
And I would simply end as I started, that this quest of justice, and in fact this journey that Sudan is on, moving from one chapter into transition, into the sunlight, with all the possibilities that that brings.
وأنتهي بالقول كما بدأت أن السودان بدأ رحلته بالانتقال وبدأ هذا الانتقال من الظلام إلى الضوء وإلى ضوء الشمس.
Is one in which Sudan is not alone. And my office is dedicated, inshallah, to the best of our ability, to reach out and cooperate, working independently but collegiately with the government of Iraq and her institutions, or the government of Sudan and her institutions.
مع حكومة السودان نعمل بشكل مستقل، ولكن سوف نبذل كل ما لدينا للتواصل والتعاون مع حكومة السودان.
With victims, with survivors, with NGOs, with the press corps, with the diplomatic corps, with everybody in this important and critical endeavor.
التواصل مع الضحايا والناجون والمجتمع المدني والمنظمات الدبلوماسية والمنظمات الدولية أن نواصل العمل سويا في حدودنا الحالية.
Which requires action.
الذي يحتاج إلى فعل.
Not just words.
ليس مجرد كلمات.
in which individuals can confront
يستطيع خلالها الأفراد أن يتصدوا
suspects or accused persons
ويقفوا في الوجه
in,
المشتبه به والمتهم
in fair trials in the courtroom,
في قاعات المحاكم في المحاكم العادلة والنزيهة
so the rule of law may reign supreme.
حتى يسود وتحكم وتكون الكلمة بسيادة القانون.
I think if we do this,
فعلنا هذا
we honor not only the victims and the survivors,
إننا لا نوفر للضحايا والناجون حقوقهم فحسب،
we honor ourselves,
بل أننا نكرم أنفسنا بنفس الوجه.
and we honor our prayers and our hopes for our children.
ونفي بدعواتنا التي رفعناها لأنفسنا ولأطفالنا.
And it will help unleash the tremendous potential of Sudan, which has no bounds.
التي كذلك تساعد في تفكير طاقات السودان المحبوبة غير المحدودة.
I'm not talking only about oil or minerals that God has given this land.
لا أتحدث فقط عن النفط أو المعادن التي هباها الله.
I'm talking about the most valuable commodity in any land, her people.
لكنني أتحدث عن الأشياء التي لا قيمة لها في أي بلد وهو الشعب.
The nobility, the education, the professionalism of the Sudanese from all communities is really wonderful. I knew that even before I came.
حقيقة المهارات والقدرات السودانيين وتعليمهم هي حقيقة تميز بين كل شعوب العالم الأخرى، وكل هذه الأشياء أعرفها قبل قدومي إلى السودان.
But we can't march from the darkness into light
لكننا لن نستطيع أن نخرج من الظلام إلى النور
without dealing with some of the issues and injustices of the past.
دون التصدي للقضايا والمظالم التي حدثت في الماضي.
I'm willing to support, if requested, also transitional mechanisms like the Special Court for Darfur.
إننا على تم الاستعداد لدعم الآليات الانتقالية الخاصة بالعدالة مثل محاكم العدالة في دارفور.
For my team to work together with Sudanese colleagues from different departments and institutions.
وزملائي على تم الاستعداد للعمل مع رفقائنا السودانيين في مختلف المظالم والجهات.
But we need justice in relation to the individuals that are subjected to warrants of arrest issued by the International Criminal Court.
نحتاج أن يمثل الأشخاص الصادر حقهم ضامن القتل أن يمثلوا أمام العدالة.
And we need help to get the evidence to make sure when those cases are brought and they are properly challenged as they should be, they can withstand scrutiny and the truth may triumph.
ولكننا نحتاج أنه عندما يمشي أمام المحاكم فإن هذه من الأدلة والبيانات المقدمة بحق الأشخاص المتهمين أن هذه الأدلة سوف تثبت وسوف تؤكد الاتهامات الموجهة لهم.
So thank you so much for your attention, and perhaps if there's any questions, Dahiru will moderate, I believe. Thank you. You can translate it? Arabic. In Arabic?
Yeah.
I think the way we're going.
In Arabic first. Tarjuman. Huh?
Yes, please.
No.
I have to take the microphone.
No, but Dahiru, in Arabic, huh?
Yeah, in Arabic.
He translated?
We will do it from Arabic to English.
But he didn't translate what I said.
Oh, okay. You have to translate what you
Yeah, Kamal Abdurrahman, Kaidi Al-Amir. Have you get a certain or full pledge from the Sudanese government to hand Bashir and the other fifth, five persons. My second question is that according to Article 78 and 2728 from the ICC articles, is there any relation between you discussed with the civil society, people or societies that you discussed them today, and the said to gathering expression?
حصل تأكيد من الحكومة فيما يخص
Louder, please.
فيما يخص
العربية وانت ترجم احسن اوضح.
Okay, let me just answer but I would ask that the interpretation, please, if you can speak loudly so they can hear, I would be grateful. So in relation to the first question, the question was about the suspects. I think Sudan knows its obligations under the Rome Statute. It knows that the Security Council in Resolution 1593 required all states to cooperate with the International Criminal Court, and the fact that things are moving in a positive direction is evidenced not only by my presence here but also by the signing of the MOU and the provision of real evidence in the Ali Kushayb case. So there's a lot of cause for optimism. This is the first point.
فيما يخص السؤال الأول متعلق بالمشروع به، السودان لديه إعادة التزاماته فيما يخص ميثاق روما، وهي انعكست في قرار مجلس الأمن رقم 15/93 الخاص بإلزام كل الدول بالموضوع في التعاون مع المحكمة الجنايات الدولية. ونحن الآن نسير في اتجاه إيجابي ونطلق روابط إيجابية فيما يخص قضية على محكمة وشير.
In relation to the 3rd of June, we don't have jurisdiction in relation to the events in 2019 outside of Darfur, and so my work and the work of the office is clearly focused in relation to those warrants that have been public for many years.
فيما يخص أحداث الثالث من يونيو اختصاصنا لا اختصاص لنا بها، اختصاصنا هي فقط في الأحداث التي وقعت في دارفور، تركيزنا فقط على ما حدث في دارفور.
Now there will be a meeting of the Joint Council next week.
سيكون هنالك اجتماع مشترك للمجلسين في الأسبوع القادم.
I have been told that various matters are scheduled to be discussed in that Joint Council meeting, inshallah. That also includes the issue that was announced a week or so ago regarding the intention stated of Sudan to sign and ratify the Rome Statute. And also maybe other matters will be discussed, so we'll wait and see what happens in that meeting. But I think this is an important moment, and the world wishes Sudan the very best, and it's for Sudan to make the necessary decisions to allow it to move forward. We should do any ladies in the room first, because we had a man, otherwise I'm only seeing men. Otherwise we will give the opportunity if there's any ladies. Okay, so in that case, okay, please.
People Marvin, Al Jazeera. You've been here for nearly a week, but you haven't sent any team to Darfur for further investigations. Was there any reason or any obstacle to you sending a team to Darfur? And it's been nearly 3 years since the transitional government has been put in place. There's been repeated statements of cooperation. Is there any obstacle? Is there any reason why we're not seeing any progress in terms of handing over those wanted by the International Criminal Court?
Please.
أنت منظر لك الأسبوع ولكن لم يفصل حتى الآن أي فريق في دارفور للتحقيق. هل هنالك سوء يقول ذلك؟ صدرت تصريحات عديدة تفيد أن هنالك تعاون لكن هل هنالك أي سبب يقول دون إرسال فريق المتحرك؟
Well, I commenced my responsibilities on the 16th of June, so the only reason I didn't come before is that I was not the prosecutor. The former prosecutor, of course, had been received by the government of Sudan and had travelled here before her departure. I can't speak as to why there was not a request for an office or a permanent or full-time staff here before now, but I clearly found that is a necessary and sensible approach if we are to build the type of solid cases that can sustain the burden of proof that prosecutors must meet in the courtroom. Sorry, please let her finish. Please go. In terms of progress, I think the progress is not only talk. We have the senior trial lawyer in the front row, Mr. Julian Nichols. He's the lawyer that's been working on the case for quite some years. He's the one that was in court with the team in the Abdurrahman Ali Kushaib case. And he is the one also that received a file from the acting Attorney General that was of utility for the Abdurrahman case. Now, the reason we were not here before, of course, was there was a different government in power, one that refused to cooperate with the International Criminal Court and set the face of its people against international justice and the primacy of the Security Council to maintain international peace and security. And it's a matter of some quiet satisfaction and hope that now there is a transitional government, and notwithstanding the challenges, we are here, I'm speaking, we are entering into agreements, and we are moving in the right direction. So the static nature of investigations and the obstruction, sabotage, and hostility that was a characteristic of the previous regime is, by the grace of God, not apparent to me at this stage. Rather, I commend very openly the government of Sudan for allowing me to come and for facilitating the work of the office that I lead.
هناك حكومات أخرى تفضل التعاون مع المحكمة الجنايات الدولية ووضع الشعب السوداني والسودان في مواجهة العدالة الدولية في مواجهة المنظومة الدولية. لكن حدثت التوضع قد يتخذ أشكالا عديدة. مثلا معنا الآن كبير المحامين في محكمة الجنايات الدولية والذي ظل يعمل سنوات عديدة في هذه القضية وتولى قضية الكشيف واستلم الملف للنائب العام المكلف وهو يتابع هذه القضيه بافضل ما يكون. بالتاكيد ان حكون الدوليه تواجه تحديات عديده ولكنها تسير بشكل موجود. حدث توقف وجود في التحقيق لسنوات عديده وتم الاعاده السير في هذه الامر، ولكن حاليا اقول بصراحه ان الحكومه الحاليه تتعاون وسمحت لنا بالحضور وهنالك خطوات ايجابيه عديده تحدث.
I think normally I will go to the next question, but I know perhaps you meant something.
Yes.
You wanted to add something?
Well, just for clarity, I was speaking about your visit this time around, not about the visit of the previous prosecutor. And for my second question, I was talking about this transitional government. It's been in power for nearly 2 years, and we've only seen statements about cooperation, but no actual movement on the ground. So that is what I was trying to clarify.
Well, yes. Well, I think I've answered that. The action on the ground is that we're here and we're moving. Action on the ground is MOUs have been signed and that information is being received. We conduct not open broadcasts. We're not a media house with the office of the prosecutor, but the information received is of value, and I've referenced the senior trial attorney. And as I said, we need everybody to come together. Of course, we need to realise that 17 years have gone by. The new government is now in place, but I hope we can accelerate. But to accelerate even in a Ferrari or in a Lamborghini or in a Mercedes or whatever is the vehicle, 0 to 60, is not instantaneous. I hope we'll get to the age soon of the electric vehicle, but we are where we are, and I think the progress is steady, and it's a good sign that we can build upon. Thank you. This gentleman, please. Oh, please, go. Thank you.
للتوضيح كان سؤالي عن التربية الحالية وعن الحكومة الانتقالية حاليا نسمع أن هنالك تصريحات جديدة لم يحدث أي تقدم طوال عامين. ذلك كان هو السؤال. التعاون نعم هنالك تعاون يحدث على مستويات مختلفة حدث بعد الوقوف ولم تحدث أحداث الأفعال على الأرض وكذلك هنالك أسباب عديدة أمام رجال التيم وتأخذ وقت نعم إذا كنت تحتاج إلى الطريق الترغب فيه حتى باستغلال الأسرع المركبات فلن يتحقق مع التشعب. فهنالك أشياء على الأرض تفرض إرادتها علينا، ولكنني أقول لك بأن التقدم الحادث الآن هو تقدم يسير بوتيرة منتظمة.
شكرا للفرصة. محمد عبد العزيز صحيفة الجمهورية. حددت المدعي العام السابقة نهاية يوليو لتسليم أحمد هارون للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية للحاق بتفاصيل قضية علي كوشيك. هل يمكن أن نقول أنه انتهى الوقت لتسليم أحمد هارون أم أن الحكومة ستلحق أحمد هارون بقضية كوشيك؟
محمد عبد العزيز from Murati newspaper, the former prosecutor said that by the end of July, Ahmed Haroon will be surrendered to the ICC. The time has lapsed. So,
Thank you.
are you? Is this going to take happen, or the other witnesses will be placed too?
You know, I don't know what happens when I leave the stage, if I will walk or if I will trip. So I can't give any assurances about what will happen in 5 minutes, never mind in a month or so. All I can say is that I and my office will use our whatever wisdom God has given us, our best efforts to work sincerely according to the statute and try to show that cooperation with my office is not a favor to me. I'm a servant of the international community. I'm trying to serve humanity along with the office I lead. But who wants to be a friend of genocide? Which of you wishes to be a friend for crimes against humanity? Who wants to be allied to war crimes? Who would want our children to be brought into that despair that so many people in so many camps in Sudan and in other parts of the world are living in? If the answer is we would not want it for our children or our loved ones or for our brothers or our sisters, we know what to do. It requires a willingness to speak the truth with fear of God, with love of the country, with love of humanity and love for the truth, taqwa. And if we do that, we can go in the right direction. This is my job, within the confines of the Rome Statute. And then, of course, the government will see countries that have rule of law, they're better places to do business. They can be respected more by the international community. One can see clearly the wonderful character of a people without that character, without that potential being clouded by allegations and fog of suffering that has undoubtedly been committed which is why the Security Council referred matters. So all I can say is that we will work within the parameters of the statute, and we will do our job, fulfill our responsibilities, and we pray others will fulfill their own responsibilities as well. At the moment, there's signs of hope, but the journey is not complete.
لكننا واقفة معنا في المتوقع أن العام نوظف كله جهدنا ونستخدم كل ما لدينا للعمل يكون في مقتضيات النظام، وأن التعاون مع مكتب المدعي العام هو ليس منحة للمدعي العام، بل هو إيفاء لمتطلبات الإنسانية ومقتضيات الضمير الحي. فبالتأكيد الإجازة التي حدثت والمزارع التي تمت هي أمر بغيض لن يرغب أي منها أن تكون له صلة به. وكلنا نعلم الكأس والبؤس الذي يعيشه سكان المعسكرات والتجارب التي يتعرض لها الأطفال، فيسألناكم إن كان متطرف في الأرض أطفالكم لذلك فالتكليف تكون إجابتكم لا، فإن علينا أن نبذل كل جهدنا ونقول صراحة بأن نتخذ هذه الأفعال حتى نضمن بأننا نسير في الاتجاه السليم ونخطو خطوات صحيحة، حتى نضمن بأن كل العالم يحترمنا ويعطينا مكانتنا الحقة، وأن لا نخشى من تشكيل سمعة سواء مزاعم بأفعال ارتكبت هنا أو هناك، أن تتوقف كل هذه الأشياء وأن نقوم بعملنا بكل مسؤولية، وأن نلتزم بأن نحقق دورنا ونخدم شعوبنا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. وفيد مصطفى سعيد نابس الإلكتروني. سؤال: هل تستطيع المحكمة الجنائية ومدعي المحكمة الجنائية من طلب وإلغاء القبض على شخصيات سودانية تحمل الجنسية السودانية بالإضافة للجنسية الأمريكية، أو تقيم داخل أمريكا أو تقيم داخل إسرائيل؟ وهل ستتمكن المحكمة من القريب العاجل من ضم الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية لميثاق روما؟
أيوة مصطفى نادوس ويب سايت. My question is, can the ICC or the Office of the Prosecutor arrest Sudanese holder of two dual nationalities, Sudanese and US American citizens, or Israeli nationality? Will you be able to ensure that the United States will join the ICC, the Rome Statute?
I can't force any state, nor would I try to force any state to join any international agreement, because this is an issue of sovereignty and it is not consistent with the Rome Statute. This is first part.
الأمر الأول لا أستطيع أن أفرض على أي دولة الانضمام أو المصادقة على أي اتفاقية. هذا الأمر له صلة بسيادتها وخيارها الحر وفقا لمقتضيات ميثاق روما.
Secondly, I can't arrest even a Sudanese.
لا، الأمر الثاني لا أستطيع اعتقال أي شخص حتى السوداني.
I can't arrest. I don't have a police force.
لا تتوفر شرطة.
We have a statute which tells us how we operate.
الميثاق يقول يحدثنا فقط كيف نعمل.
States have the primary responsibility in international law to comply with their obligations.
القانون الدولي يطلق على الدول أن تلتزم أن تفي بالتزاماتها الواردة في الاتفاقيات الدولية.
Those obligations are either the obligations set out in the Rome Statute if there is a state party,
هذه المسؤوليات هي أما موضحة وموضحة في ميثاق روما،
or set out in the United Nations Charter if one is not a state party.
أو موضحة في ميثاق الأمم المتحدة بالنسبة للدول الأعضاء.
And the Sudan situation that our case was referred by the Security Council of the United Nations, which is the principal organ we have in the world for maintaining international peace and security, and it's pursuant to that that we're here. And of course, states have their obligations and they have their decisions. Every state has the right to be on the side of justice or to be on the side of criminality, to be on the side of fairness or the side of unfairness, or to be moving towards the future or clinging to a very dark and cruel and abysmal past. These are choices every country has. There's no exception.
الأصل في حالتين كل حالتين من قبل مجلس الأمن وهو الجهة الرئيسية المسؤولة عن الأمن العالمي ونحن منتظرين الأمر الآن متروك للسودان لإنفاق المسار أو التصوير الذي يتخذه الإسلام بما تقتضيه المطلوبات العدالة الدولية أم تجاوزها
And it's important to remember that nobody is above the law, but nobody is beneath the law either.
يمكن أن نتذكر أن ليس هنالك من شخص فوق القانون، ولكن الأهم هو أن ليس هنالك من شخص دون القانون.
It would be a very strange and unprofessional prosecutor that charges somebody simply because of their nationality.
تكون أمر غريب وأمر غير مهني أن يكون مدعي توجيه الاتهام بشخص ما على أساس جنسيته.
You must have jurisdiction. You must have evidence. And if you have the evidence and the legal basis, you must do your job. And I will try my best to do mine. So thank you. I must come to this side of the room. So please. One. Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for the kind words you have expressed for Sudan. Now, my question to you, sir, is: has there been now, Mr. Bashir, has it been finalized that he's going to be extradited to the ICC? And has there been a date set for such? And if that is the case, and him being there and going through his trial, of course, through the questioning process, probably other names are going to pop up. Now, will that create an action from you to come and pursue those that are not probably on your list right now, and could perhaps be also part of the atrocities that happened before?
Okay, thank you. No, thank you. You know, there are 120. Oh, sorry, please. Sorry.
قسمت الدفاع عن وزارة تسكين البشير إلى المحكمة الدولية قسم تحديد تاريخ ذلك القرار، وإن حدث ذلك هل يتبعه ورود أسماء أخرى الأشخاص الآخرين لم يعلن عنهم، وهل عندها تطور تحريم هؤلاء الأشخاص؟
Okay. The question is regarding an individual, former President Omar al-Bashir. I have not discussed dates. I had discussions with the various parts of the government which they are aware of. They know their responsibilities, and they will, announcements will be made when decisions are taken that become public. In terms of the Rome Statute I mentioned, I was informed that a meeting of the Joint Council is scheduled for next week. We will see what that brings. Ultimately, the decision to cooperate and how to cooperate is one to be decided by Sudan, not by me. What my job is to work clearly without any other factor within the parameters set by the Rome Statute and the Security Council referral.
الوارد بخصوص الاتصال مع البشير لم نحدد التاريخ وتناقشنا مع حكومة السودان وعرفت أنهم سوف يتخذون قرارهم في الوقت المناسب ويعلنون عنه فيما يخص الاتفاقية من نظام الاتفاقية. هذا الأمر سوف يتم حسمه في الأسبوع القادم. الأمر المهم هو التعاون. كيف ومتى يتحدث كل هذه الاشياء في السودان في الجهه الاساسيه لن نفرض عليها، ولكن سوف نتعامل مع ما يترتب على شكل التعاون الذي سوف يكون.
There are 123 states parties to the Rome Statute.
هناك 133 دولة في معاهدة روما.
I have responsibilities to lead my office in many continents of the world with various matters that fall for consideration and investigation and prosecution.
لدي مسؤوليات في مختلف أنحاء العالم مسؤوليات تتعلق بتحقيقات وتحريات ومتابعة الأمور في مختلف القضايا.
I personally don't think Security Council referrals should be open indefinitely.
بالتأكيد لن تكون هذه المسألة مفتوحة للأبد.
The 17 years have already gone by. Let's move on the 5 cases that the court has issued warrants for. One is in The Hague, about to start the trial. Let's focus on the others. And for me,
هنالك لقضة 17 عاما منذ سقوط المواقف الوقت. هنالك 5 قضايا الآن أحدهما مثلا سلم ابنته إلى المحكمة الجنائية وهو الآن موجود في لاهاي.
my honest view, I'd be pleased if we can move forward effectively based upon evidence on those cases. And then it's possible for Sudan to close this chapter of the ICC and move forward to fulfill its potential. And I can move to other responsibilities in other parts of the world and use my resources as effectively as possible.
ونفس الشيء بالنسبة لي أحتاج إلى أن أخطو خطوات لنتجاوز هذه المرحلة وأنظر في المسؤوليات الأخرى وراء.
And for other areas of justice, Sudan, God willing, should be helped. And even I'm happy in principle for my office to play a role. For example, the Darfur Special Court for Darfur, transitional mechanisms. There's a whole variety. There is justice outside the ICC. Please don't feel, nobody should feel that if there is not justice in the ICC, there is a barren land in which justice cannot survive outside The Hague. This is not true. Justice is in Sudan. We need to nurture it and foster it, or Sudan does, and this is of general application.
الأشياء متفرقة لا تدعو للجلسة تسمع عليكم إحساسا بأن العدالة لن تتحقق. العدالة هي ليست من أرض الجرداء، بل هي يمكن أن تجد نصيبها بكل سهولة ويسر إن عملنا ذلك.
I think after the gentleman, then the lady, please. Do you need water? Interpreter.
بسم الله. الجزيرة. Channel. I have 2 questions. I'm going to ask you in Arabic. السؤال الأول يتعلق بك شخصيا. مستر خان، كنت محامي بحر أبو غردة، أحد المتهمين في المحكمة الجنائية الدولية، وقد نال على يديك براءة من التهم، والآن أصبحت في موقع المسؤول الأول في المحكمة الجنائية الدولية، وربما نلت أو تحصلت على معلومات من ذلك الموقع. هل هذا يعني أن هنالك أو ربما يحتمل أن يكون هنالك تضارب مصالح في موقعك المختلف، الموقعين المختلفين؟ سؤالي الثاني، بعض الناس يعتقد أن تسليم البشير للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية ربما يجعله يفر من كثير من الجرائم المفترضة بحق الشعب السوداني، ومن بينها جريمة التعدي على الدستور. ما هو السبيل لضمان حقوق الآخرين إذا ما تم تسليم البشير للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية؟ شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you.
I have two questions. The first question is related to you personally. You were the lawyer of Bahad Idris Abugada at the ICC, and he found innocent.
Can you speak up because I'm not hearing you?
You were the advocate,
Yes.
the lawyer of Bahad Idris Abugada,
Yeah.
and he was innocent. He was found innocent.
Yes.
Now you are the first man in charge of the ICC. Perhaps you may have gained access to certain information. Is that a conflict of interest for being in the two positions? That was the first question. The second is some people believe that surrendering al-Bashir may give him the opportunity to skip certain crimes like violating the Constitution and other crimes committed in Sudan. So how to resolve that issue?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Yes, I represented Bahad Idris Abugada, and I give him very great credit. In fact, he is the first person from any part of the world that voluntarily surrendered to the court, and it's quite correct that no charges were confirmed and he returned innocent here. There's no conflict of interest at all because the case anyway is over. It doesn't affect the conduct of my activities, and in any event, the evidence that was given to the defense was from the prosecution, and I'm the lead prosecutor, so that's not an issue at all. In relation to the second matter, regarding former President Omar al-Bashir, and the question whether or not the jurisdiction before the International Criminal Court would deprive accountability for any other crimes, the answer is no. Some individuals commit, there are allegations that they have committed various crimes, and we know that from domestic systems, you'll know that from television, that one can be tried for a murder, but if you have committed arson the week before, you can be tried for that as well. So this is an issue of dialogue between the state, who has primary responsibility for all laws, in fact, for all allegations of violence taking place in its jurisdiction, and of course the warrants that exist based upon the various options that are there before the Rome Statute. So I think that hopefully that answers the question. The lady, please. ترجمان. No, please. No, ترجمان, carry on. Thank you.
نعم، واحد هو الشخص الأول في العالم الذي يقوم بذلك طوالية ولم تثبت عليه أي نظام موجهة حقيقي ونعلم الصراحة، لكن لا يوجد أي تطابق بين الموضوعين. تلك المحكمة انتهت ولا يوجد أي معلومات تؤثر على موقع الحال. فيما يخص موضوع عمر البشير، وإن كان اختصاص حالة الأمر إلى المحكمة الجنائية يقول دون مساءلته عن أي أفعال أخرى، الإجابة لا. فالأشخاص الذين ارتكبوا جرائم خلاف الجرائم التي يحاكموا لا تصرف عنهم فإن قتل شخص ما وقام بارتكاب جريمة أخرى مثل الحرب، فإن القتل لن يعفيه عن تحمل مسؤوليته الجنائية، وذلك أمر جائز في يحاسب على الجريمتين.
The more important question is not Bahad Idris Abugada, is Abdullah Banda. Abdullah Banda.
السؤال الأهم هو ليس عن بحث إدريس أبوغادا بل عن عبد الله بندا.
So I also acted for Abdullah Banda, but I'm not dealing with that matter. When I was appointed, I filed with the court, and my deputy prosecutor from Canada, he's been there for 8 years already before my election, he has conduct of that case. I'm not involved in it, so there's no conflict of interest, and that matter is proceeding by way of other individuals at the office that are not reporting to me, to make sure that there's no lack of confidence that justice will be done, because as an officer of the court, this is my overriding responsibility. Did you finish?
أمان مقوميات الإذاعة السودانية. سؤال يتعلق بالملفات والقضايا الكثيرة الشائكة المشاهدة يوميا في محكمات داخلية لرموز النظام البائد. هي الآن يتم محاكمتهم على عدد من الملفات كثيرة جدا. فده نتعرف على أبرز الملفات اللي يمكن إنها الجنائية تكون لها دور في تحقيق العدالة فيها، وخاصة إنه هنالك نظر لملفات بتظهر يوميا، ملفات كثيرة وشائكة. هل هي ضمن عمل محكمة الجنائية الدولية في كل الملفات أم هنالك ملفات محددة؟ السؤال الثاني يتعلق بالنقطة الجوهرية لنتائج زيارتكم للسودان. الآن استخدمتم هذه الزيارة، وبالتأكيد هنالك وجهة نظر للمحكمة الجنائية من خلال التعاون الكثير بينها وبين حكومة الفترة الانتقالية في السودان. نتعرف على النقطة الجوهرية التي توصلتم لها في هذه الزيارة.
Please.
There are many cases filed before public for the symbols of the previous regime that we keep on watching and on almost daily basis. Which one of them the ICC may play a role in which one of these cases the ICC may play a role? The second question is what's the central achievement of your visit to Sudan? You have had different officials at higher levels, so what is the central outcome of this?
I didn't quite get, perhaps somebody can help me, the first part of the question about the symbols of the previous regime. Yes, I don't understand. I'm not prosecuting symbols. I'm prosecuting crimes. Just translate? You can just translate.
لا يفهم كلمة الرموز، هو يوجه الاتهام ويحاسب ويتحرك في جرائم وليس رموز.
And the
leaders
in relation to the leaders, the most important are the 5 individuals for whom the warrants were issued for many years. They're well known by everybody, to make sure that the evidence is there, that we can support the allegations and ensure that there is justice so that the rights of individuals can be honored. And so we don't think that justice is for the rich, that justice is there only in The Hague or only in New York or in London or in Paris or in Tokyo, that the right of a Sudanese life is as precious, is as valuable as the life of any other man, woman and child. So the allegations that have been made, the investigations that have been conducted need to deepen, and then we need to make sure that the judicial warrants are given effect to based upon the Rome Statute and the options available.
فيما يخص القيادة ما يهمني هم ال5 أشخاص الذين صدرت بحقهم أوامر الضبط منذ أوامر مديدة. علينا التأكد من وجود الأدلة. هذه الأدلة تدعم المزاعم الصادرة من أجل تحقيق العدالة. علينا أن نعمل على ضمان تحقيق العدالة. العدالة هي حق للجميع وليس مقصورة على الأغنياء أو على هم موجودين في طوكيو أو واشنطن أو غير ذلك. علينا توفيرها للجميع في أي مكان. فهنالك مزاعم صادرة، هنالك تحقيقات يجب أن نجري ونزيد من الجهود فيها وجود التعمق فيها حتى تؤكد بعد ذلك كثير من الأمور.
You know, this is in relation to the second part of the question, this is my first trip. So every meeting, every step, literally, for me is one that I feel tremendously humbled about, and I view in a way that it is not taken for granted. This meeting, having you question, having a vibrant press in a country that has a past, is a wonderful achievement. The signing of the MOU in which the government of Sudan now has signed an agreement that's an international agreement, committing itself to cooperating with the ICC that the previous regime did not recognize, undermined, slandered, and obstructed, is an achievement. Not limiting it to one accused who is before the court awaiting trial, but expanding it to all the individuals in relation to whom warrants have been issued, was an achievement. The fact that I could go and meet with civil society, those that have been struggling for the rights of the many, I view it as an achievement. That they could feel able to come and speak with me in Khartoum is something we should not take it for granted. You all know better than me that a time was here not long ago in which people would be scared to death to be seen anywhere close to the prosecutor of the ICC. And here I have the privilege of being within touching distance of you, to be able to meet so many from those communities. This is a central achievement. The ability to sit down with the Prime Minister, with the Foreign Minister, with the Attorney General, with the Minister of Justice, in terms of respectful, constructive discourse, is a wonderful achievement that I'm humbled to be part of. And the ability to engage and be received even by the Sovereignty Council constructively and to put forward views and have a candid discussion is something, again, I don't take for granted. But we also need to keep moving forward beyond talking in terms of discernible action. And I have high hopes of Sudan and her people and the place that you want to hold in the world, which means closing this dark chapter. And whether we like it or not, the ICC is part of this story. And that dark chapter cannot close until we have finished our work. So if we want sovereignty of Sudan, if we want a bright future of Sudan, we should accelerate the cooperation, facilitate the officers' work further, march together, not in opposition like two bulls, but march together with the unquenchable desire that we have effective justice in relation to these warrants. And then hopefully that collaboration, that discourse, can also help Sudan in terms of its other responsibilities of transitional justice under its own laws in other areas. So this is an achievement that we are starting, but it's important we finish it together.
هذه هي الزيارة الأولى، وفي كل لحظة أشعر بالإنجازات وبالأعمال العظيمة وانظر إليها بكل الطوابع. نحن أقف أمامكم عن صحافة فاعلة تقوم بدورها في بلد كان له حتى وقت قريب ماض آخر لا يسمح بذلك. أشعر بالفخر والإنجاز من توقيع الاتفاق التي تلتزم فيها حقوق التعاون مع المحكمة الجنائية الدولية وعدم إعادة وتسجيل عملها وأنها لا تقتصر على شخص واحد على المذكرة بل تشمل التعميم الآخرين. أشعر بالإنجاز وأنا ألتقي بأنظار المجتمع المدني، وهذا الإنجاز الحقيقي أن يستطيعوا الحديث معي بكل سهولة ويسر. تعلمون جميعا أنه قبل حتى وقت قريب كان الناس يخافون كل خوف من الاقتراب من أي شخص اللي هو علاقته أو صلته بمكتب المدعي العام للمحكمة الجنائية. أن أتمكن من الجلوس مع وزير الحج، وزيرة الخارجية، والنائب العام المكلف وأعضاء مجلس السيادة، وأن أتواصل معهم بشكل بناء، هذا إنجاز. الوقت الآن هو وقت أفعال ليس مجرد كلام. نحتاج جميعا أن نبذل كل ما لدينا كل من موقعها نحتاج إلى إغلاق هذا الملف الأسود. فالICC بجزء مسلم ولكن لن تستطيع تجاوزه ما لم يكتمل عملنا، ولن يكتمل العمل إلا بتسهيل دورنا حتى نستطيع أن نمضي سويا، أن نحقق العدالة في كل المستويات، كل المجالات. هذا هو الإنجاز الأهم اللي حققناه.
You know, it is almost 6 o'clock, and it must be the last question now. I want to thank, please, no shouting, just wait. I want to thank the interpreter, because I can see he's tired, and thank you for your efforts. So the last question, I will not choose amongst the many hands I see. The interpreter will decide. But I will ask the interpreter preference to ladies, because we had more men.
The ladies, there's one lady there. There's one lady
Okay,
there.
so that's the last question then, your decision.
There's a lady there.
Thank you. The lady gave me the chance to ask you some questions.
You know, normally gentlemen should defer to the lady, not the other way round. But anyway, go ahead, please.
I thank the lady for
Yes.
giving me this. I'm Ahmed Tabut. I'm the chief negotiator of Nabor Peace Partners, and one of the negotiators who negotiated the Justice and Accountability Protocol. We are very pleased to have you here today.
Thank you.
And also we are very pleased with the visit of the previous Attorney General of the ICC. Your being here today is a result of peace agreement, one of the fruits of the peace agreement. First, I have a request and I have a question. The request, if your time allows, it is better to meet the negotiators who negotiated the Justice and Accountability Protocol to go into details about the nature of the cooperation stated in the peace agreement, together with the contents of the Memorandum of Understanding you signed today. This is the request. Secondly, the question. We don't know the details of and the nature and the content of the Memorandum of Understanding we signed today. But in this statement, the cooperation extended to include not only Ahmed Harun, but the other 4 NIDs. This is a good progress, but if it is possible to give us more details about the nature and the contents of the Memorandum of Understanding we signed today with the government of Sudan. This is important. Secondly, or thirdly, is there any attention?
You know, you really took the liberty with our colleague, the lady.
Yeah.
You're asking 3 questions, not 1.
Okay.
So now I insist it's the last one, but then we finish.
The last question is the cooperation that you are looking for only the surrender of the indictees to the ICC, or you want to transfer the seat of the ICC to Sudan if the conditions allow? Thank you.
Thank you.
Press conference for 10 minutes, just for 10 minutes, not for petition. أنا كنت واحدة
Translator John.
كنت واحدة المفوضين.
What did he say?
جوا الحسبية والعدالة سعداء بدراسة. ويوجد اليوم هو سماح السلام لدي طلب سؤال. الطلب هو إن سمح له موقف الاستلام المفوضين في بروتوكول الحسبية والعدالة في الاتفاقية حتى يتسنى لها معارضتها مع مجموعة الذكر الاتفاق. السؤال هو لا نعلم محتوى وتفاصيل وطبيعة مذكرة التفاهم التي وقعتها، وسؤالنا هل التعاون يمتد يشمل المتحامين الأربعة الآخرين؟ الأمر الآخر يكون جيد أن يقدم لنا محتوى مذكرة الاتفاق الذي هل التعاون الذي تسعون له يشمل تسليم المتهمين أمام المحاكمة إلى السودان.
So, thank you for that. So, in relation to the three parts of the question, the first part, congratulations on your work on the peace process. We have not met before. I don't know the nature of the work, but of course, I look forward to members of the office when they're based here full time to reaching out and having discussions with you, but also people from all walks of life, people that are lawyers, peace negotiators, diplomats, army, police, but also people in Darfur that have nothing at all and don't even have jobs. So we will work with everybody in a way that we can build confidence and achieve justice. In terms of the MOU, this is an agreement between me, the office, and the Ministry of the Government of Sudan. I don't do my, it's not a public agreement. It is one that is agreed between us. We're involved in criminal investigations, but I will consider matters further, but I'm not making that public, at least definitely it's not happening today. In relation to the seat, the Rome Statute tells us the options. The seat of the court is in The Hague, but the Article 3, I think it is, Article 3 of the Rome Statute provides the court may sit away from the seat. Of course, the application can be made by the prosecutor. It's a decision by the judges and by the presidency. These are all options that the Rome Statute provides. And we will wait and see how the story unfolds in the future. Can I just thank everybody for coming? Please forgive me for those individuals that had questions and I couldn't reach. I hope, inshallah, that I will come back in November myself. We can arrange to hear another press conference as well. If there's still interest, I would be available. And also when the team is here, I hope there can be closer and constant communication with all parts of Sudanese society, and the media are known as the watchdogs of every democratic society. You have an important role as a window through which I can reach the wider community in Sudan. So I really thank you and I wish you safety and every success in the work that you're doing. So thank you for your time and for honoring me and the office with your attention.
سوف يتواصل معك على مدى في معرفة والجنايات